When Xiaomi introduced the Redmi 6 Pro in India, it once again touted its camera capabilities. I mean, it has the same specs as the Mi A2 and the Redmi Note 5 Pro. One look at the spec sheet and you will notice that it has the same 12 megapixel camera on the rear, which has a 1.25 micron pixel size and which is attached to an f/2.2 aperture lens. Apart from this, even the secondary camera is a 5 MP depth sensor. But obviously it doesn't mean that having the same specs will give you the same picture quality. The picture quality actually depends on the software algorithm inside the camera. And therefore, I decided to compare the Redmi 6 Pro with the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 and the Redmi Y2. Three phones that are around the same price range and could possibly offer a similar level of fidelity. Hi, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and stay tuned to find out which one of these smartphone camera comes out on top. If you want to watch more such awesome camera comparisons and a lot of other smartphone related content, Mr. Phone is the place to be, and therefore don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever we put out a new video. As usual, let's start off by taking a quick look at the camera specs of all the three phones. Let it be known that the Redmi Y2 was running on the latest MIUI 10 update, and the ZenFone Max Pro M1 was also updated to the latest version of the OS. Also, more importantly, our unit of the ZenFone Max Pro M1 was the one with 4 GB of RAM, which has the same camera specs as the one with 3 GB of RAM. And therefore my findings for both the variants are going to be the same. Actually, the variant of the ZenFone Max Pro M1 with 6 GB of RAM is a completely different SKU with upgraded camera specs. So that's the difference between the two phones. The first test is a wide shot of our office premises overlooking the busy main road. What I noticed is that the Redmi Y2's shot looks dull and lifeless in comparison to the ZenFone Max Pro M1 and the Redmi 6 Pro. The ZenFone tends to oversharpen the details around the middle portion of the image, which is the focus point for all the cameras anyway. And when you move towards the edges of the Max Pro M1 shot, you will see that the over-sharpening ends up sharpening the noise as well. It is damn funny, which is why over-sharpening algorithms are frowned upon in professional photography circles. It is after all a technique that artificially makes the image look good. In comparison, the Redmi 6 Pro shot has the most natural colors of the lot, and despite the slight highlight clipping issues, take a look at the area around the cloud, and I think it looks extremely clean and detailed. Clearly, the Redmi 6 Pro is my choice here. Wow, it's a straight up pain in the posterior trying to shoot close-up pictures with budget phones. From focusing issues when you go too close to the subject to capturing a picture with the right focus, all the three phones are equally difficult to shoot with. Anyway, I managed to get a few shots nonetheless. Let's start off with the one of the red flower. You will immediately notice that Asus has dropped the ball in processing the red color accurately. It has overexposed the image unnecessarily because it wasn't really that bright when I was shooting it. But the details are fairly intact thanks to the over-enthusiastic over-sharpening algorithm. However, I was trying to focus on the pollen and the Asus phone ended up focusing the entire flower. Only the Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro managed to do justice to my shot. In fact, both our test samples look near identical. However, on closer inspection at 100% crop, you will notice that the Redmi 6 Pro has a tad more details on offer, but the Y2 still manages to keep the dynamic range in check, so that gives it an advantage. In my next test, I shot a yellow flower which was swaying in the wind lightly. The Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro managed to get a shot without any issue. The Zenfone Max Pro M1 created a weird shot with ghosting and with little to no details at all. The details on the Redmi phones are also almost identical and they're much better than what I managed with the Zenfone Max Pro M1. I'm going with both the Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro as joint winners in this round. I had a tough time evaluating my portrait test shots. While the Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro are almost identical in creating a cutout, the details on the Redmi Max Pro M1's image is stunning. This is where the over-sharpening actually works in its favor. From the texture in Ashish's shirt to the colors, everything looks stunning. Also, the Zenfone Max Pro M1's image is the only one that manages to paint the sky accurately. The Redmi phones have overexposed the image, making the sky look white. Note that you can also adjust the level of blur using the Max Pro M1. I could have probably made the cutout a little more accurate by dropping the slider a point or two to get the right amount of blur. Having said that, when you're shooting using the Snapdragon camera on the Max Pro M1, you cannot see the correct blur effect live. Therefore, I'd have to guesswork anyway. so it's pointless. While you might like the Redmi Y2 or the Redmi 6 Pro's portrait cutout, I still prefer what the Max Pro M1 has achieved purely because of the details on offer and the accuracy in capturing the dynamic range. I'm going with the ZenFone Max Pro M1 as the winner in this round. And now we've come to the HDR mode, and looks like Xiaomi has gone ahead and finally fixed its algorithm. The Redmi 6 Pro's HDR image is just stunning. From vastly improved details in highlights and shadows to the incredible control over colors and exposure, the Redmi 6 Pro is the clear winner here. The ZenFone Max Pro M1 comes a close second, but the Y2 is far behind. I'm picking the Redmi 6 Pro as the winner in this round. At first glance, everyone is going to love the selfie captured by the ZenFone Max Pro M1. It looks detailed and crisp, but again, this is the magic of over sharpening. Although I'm sure a lot of folks won't care. The Redmi Y2 on the other hand captures a cleaner image, albeit with slightly soft details. The Redmi 6 Pro selfie camera is a little lacking in megapixels, but the details are alright for a 5MP camera. I really don't know why people care for highly detailed, high megapixel selfies. I don't. And for my purposes, the Redmi 6 Pro's camera works just fine. But if you're a selfie hound, I guess the ZenFone Max Pro M1 or the Redmi Y2 will serve your purpose. For me, it is a tie between the two phones in this round, despite the fact that their individual algorithms work differently. Moving on to the selfie portrait mode, the Redmi 6 Pro, despite its modest front camera specifications, can also do portrait selfies. And honestly, the selfie cutout looks impeccable from the Redmi 6 Pro. It is almost of the same quality on the Redmi Y2. As far as the Max Pro M1 is concerned, the depth effect is not very pronounced. The creamy bokeh effect on the Redmi 6 Pro and the Redmi Y2 are my picks for the best looking selfie portraits. In our 1080p video test, you will notice that the Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro can both do electronic image stabilization. That immediately gives the phones an advantage over the ZenFone Max Pro M1. However, the EIS tends to bungle up the details. You will notice that the Nokia text looks a little janky. The same is not the case with the Max Pro M1. Regardless, I will take stabilization over details any day. As far as the sound is concerned, the stereo recording quality is almost on par on all the three phones. I don't really see any difference as such. As for the winner, it is a tie once again in this round, and this time it is the Redmi 6 Pro and the Redmi Y2 that emerge as winners. The three phones can shoot 1080p selfie videos without EIS. The Redmi 6 Pro has a very close crop and the sound quality is not too great either.
I'm capturing a video to test using the front camera. Hi guys, I'm capturing a video using the stabilization and the sound quality as well. Do let me know in the comment section below what you thought.
The ZenFone Max Pro M1 has the best details and the sound quality as far as my eyes and ears can tell. So I'm picking the Max Pro M1 as the winner in this round. Okay, now we come to that part of the comparison where everybody must be wondering how do these phones perform in low light. Honestly, don't use these phones to shoot images in low light. I repeat, don't use these phones to shoot low light images. None of these phones manage to capture a good looking image. There's just too much noise and none of them are useful at all. Now that we know that low light shots don't look good on all the three phones, let's try flash. The Redmi phones come with a single LED flash module on the rear, whereas the ZenFone Max Pro M1 has a dual LED flash. But from the samples, the Redmi 6 Pro has the best details and the most accurate color temperature reproduction as well. I think that the Redmi 6 Pro has better shots compared to the ZenFone Max Pro M1 and the Redmi Y2, and therefore the Redmi 6 Pro wins this round easily. So I also took a low light selfie using the three phones and I'm playing the broken tape again. Just don't use these phones to shoot selfies if you don't have adequate light. Moving on though, if you must shoot a low light selfie, use the flash. Interestingly, the Redmi 6 Pro not only omits a hardware LED flash on the front, it doesn't include any mechanism to light the screen either. In my testing, I found that the ZenFone Max Pro M1 offered an image with good focus and details using the front flash. For some odd reason, the Redmi Y2's image was too soft for my liking. Once again, the ZenFone Max Pro M1 comes out on top in this round. So we are at the end of this camera comparison and I'm finding it really difficult to pick one winner from these three phones. Each one of these phones comes out on top in one round or the other. While the Redmi 6 Pro is well suited for shooting landscape shots and HDR shots because Xiaomi has improved it drastically, the Redmi Y2 and the ZenFone Max Pro M1 are better suited for shooting selfies. Also, the ZenFone Max Pro M1's portrait mode is better than the one on the Redmi Y2 and the Redmi 6 Pro. If there's one thing that is common between the three phones, it is the fact that none of these can shoot good low light shots. So those were my findings in this comparison. Do let us know in the comment section below what you thought about it. Until next time, this is Ershad from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye.